Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to check out the Magicka Templar solo build. I'm Alcast from alcasthq.com. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Here I'm running Elden Hollow 1 on veteran mode. I actually do think Magicka Templars make a really good setup for solo play, whether be it dungeons or overland or whatever you want to play, because they really have very powerful AoE damage and healing while they're dealing damage. So they're like, the package is basically complete with this setup. The build, like always, is on the website, link in the description below. Timestamps of bosses in the description as well. So, like I mentioned before, Magicka Templars are actually great, and I made sure with this build that you have enough stamina to block, dodge roll, enough health so you don't get one shot, and enough sustain. I also do have beginner setups in case you don't have like the best in slot gear or are not max champion points rank. If you're playing solo, you always need to make sure to have enough healing and defensive abilities or sets. So as you can see here, I run Ice Hard. I run Ice Hard on most Magicka based solo setups because the shield it gives is really powerful, and especially on a Magicka Templar while you have a shield up, because we are running puncturing sweeps and Ritual of Retribution, they both heal. So when our shield randomly procs, the enemy can't really hit our health, but in the meantime we can use our abilities that we deal damage with anyway to regain health. So it's very easy to stay at max health with this setup. In case that is not enough, we have Harness Magicka on the front bar. Like, you drop low on health, you press it. Usually the #1 reason why people actually die is if they're busy reapplying their dots and they forget to have Ritual of Retribution down, or they don't use puncturing sweeps for a long time. Because like I said, these two are your main and only heals, and usually it's more than enough, like you can see here. Sustain wise, Channeled Focus always needs to be on the ground. It's the rune that gives you Magicka back and also increases your resistances, so you take less damage. So it's very powerful. Then we have Elemental Drain that you always should keep on the boss, because again it increases your sustain and damage. And then Consuming Trap. You could run the other morph for AoE damage, but we already have so much AoE damage, that's why I chose Consuming Trap. If a mob dies while Consuming Trap is on him, you gain like 7,000 Magicka. It's crazy how much you get in return. So it's really hard to actually run out of Magicka. We also do run False God set. It's not mandatory. I do have alternatives on the website, but it's just like one of the most powerful Magicka sets at the moment. And you don't need the perfect version. The imperfect version is more than enough. Like, the difference is so small, it really doesn't matter. Now on this boss here, you really only need to block his heavy attack, because that actually deals damage, but everything else you mostly can ignore. You could try to kite his AoE whirlwind attack, but it also, if you keep using punching sweeps, it doesn't really do that much damage. But as you can see here, I usually block in the key moments, so when he does the heavy attack, so I barely get any damage. If you have never done the veteran dungeon, I would actually recommend doing the normal dungeon first, so you actually can learn the attack pattern of the bosses and monsters and then attempt it on veteran. In case you drop low on Magicka like I do here, make sure to heavy attack. If you see you don't have enough sustain, heavy attack, or for example change the buff food up so you get some more extra Magicka recovery, because I run on very low Magicka recovery here. There's a lot of ways to increase your sustain. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to not forget to subscribe and hit the juicy like button. I will give some commentary on the bosses, but other than that I will just let you enjoy the video. So this boss here is actually fairly annoying. If you run too far out, he will pull you back in. He will spawn small stranglers that will heal the main boss, so you need to make sure to kill them. And if you have the main boss tap targeted and you try to tap target the mini-mob, sometimes it doesn't really work, just because I think the hitbox is too big of the main boss. So maybe you don't want to use tap target. As long as you keep Ritual of Retribution on the ground, you can't really die, except for when the boss like crawls into the ground a little bit and does this explosion thing. You need to make sure to go out of range. Once that happened, go back, keep your damage over time effects up, kill the boss. This here is some sort of mini boss. Make sure to save your ultimate for this here, because there's a lot of minions. Try to pull them as close together as possible and then drop your AoE ultimate. Make sure to have Ritual of Retribution on the ground so it actually heals you. And you can block certain attacks if you want to, but there is nothing really that hits very hard. As long as you keep using punching sweeps, you should be fine. Once all the ads are dead, make sure to focus on the boss, elemental drain, put all the dots, and he should be dead fairly fast. This here is another mini boss. Here you really only need to be aware of his heavy attack. You need to block it. It deals a lot of damage. And the AoE attack, like the frontal AoE attack, yes, it's very easy to avoid. But the heavy attack, I would recommend blocking and or shielding it. But other than that, shouldn't be too hard. The last boss, he always stands in the middle. There is nothing that really can kill you unless you stand in his AoE that he summons, but they're fairly easy to actually avoid. Other than that, he has a poison. He charges like a poison attack. You can dodge roll it, and then you shouldn't actually get hit. But even if you get hit, the damage is not that strong, as long as you have Ritual of Retribution on the ground and you use Punching Sweeps from now and then. He also summons skeletons. Sometimes they will attack you, but if you have enough AoE damage on the ground, they will die very fast. What I usually do here, when one of the skeletons spawns, I drop Consuming Trap on it. And when it dies very fast, you get 7k Magicka back, so you basically have endless sustain here. One thing you might ask yourself, why don't we use Radiant Oppression, aka Jesus Beam? We don't need it, we already have enough damage. You could run it instead of Consuming Trap, but there is also danger when you actually use it, because channeling Jesus Beam will deal a lot of damage, but we can't really heal unless you use the other morph. But even then, it's probably still less. With Punching Sweeps, we are always on the safe side because it heals for so much. That's why I have chosen a non-execute setup here. Please make sure to not forget to subscribe, very much appreciated. If you have any more questions, you can always ask me here on our community Discord. I will put all the social links into the description as well, so you have easy access to all the links. That's more or less it. You can watch a few other videos of me soloing dungeons right here if you want. Other than that, thanks for watching and see you soon. Cheers.